Hey everyone, I'm Kronos, and this is part 2 of the Baldur's Gate 3 Honor Mode Glitchless Achievement Tutorial series. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, make sure to follow along from there first. This part will cover all of Act 2 up until right before the Githyanki fight. So once we enter into Act 2, this is right after we progress Gale's questline in Act 1 and returned back into Act 2, we're going to have a couple different methods of getting past all of this section. If you want to do it the fast route that I did in my previous runs that uses a command drop with Shadowheart, you can still do that option, and it is faster by a significant amount, but you do need to save scum if you fail it, and it is kind of glitchy to some people in order to not get aggroed enemies. So the link to that is in the description. It should just be my patch 6 guide. Everything should work the same way. But here I will show the safe, consistent option that I would highly recommend doing if you are trying to just get the achievement. Also, just a side note as well, if you are doing this route, you will also need to have Gale's questline progressed as well with the faster route. So just make sure you do that. So for this option, I will show the safe way to do things. So right here, I will have my Durge do basically everything at this section. We will make sure we grab a torch here from this brazier and go ahead and toggle the light source so we have it out. And make sure your entire party is staying back for this section. We're going to cast Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall and start making our way down to this small campsite here with Kansif and the rest of the party here. We're going to have some dialogue with us and just choose option 1 for all of this. We're going to basically progress through and get Karnas to come over. We have this DC check of 2, which basically always succeeds, and if we fail it, we do have 3 points of inspiration to use normally, so pretty consistent check here. Once we do that, we'll talk to Karnas, who will end up taking us to Moonrise Towers, and we'll just follow him during this route here. And basically, they're going to take us to Moonrise Towers as long as you're following the convoy here, and you do have to stick with Karnas here in order for the entire group to progress, otherwise they will stay in place. And yeah, the rest of our party is staying back, so they don't get in the way of this encounter, and we just kind of want to speed up this fight as well, since right here we will have a big fight with the Harpers that'll occur. So when we walk up to around this point, we will get a surprise check, and if we fail it, then we get surprised here. Otherwise, we will succeed in the surprise check and get some initiative at least and not skip our turn 1. But basically, once we walk into this area, the fight starts, and we kind of just want to have our Tav stay on the sidelines during this fight and just try not to die. So what I like to do is jump all the way to around this side here. That's because it's further away from the rest of the enemies here. And yeah, the fight will start occurring once we jump to that area. And we're going to go ahead and defend the caravan and attack the Harpers. So this will not make the Harpers at Last Light Inn angry at us, and it will have us basically easily go through this entire fight sequence here. So we're going to just go ahead and let this play. We basically win this fight 100% of the time. I don't think I've ever seen a scenario where the Harpers win in this fight. So yeah, basically Karnas is just way too strong for all these Harpers here, and we just instantly kill them all. So there is one small caveat here. If our Tav dies during this fight, we can just have one of our other characters, such as Shadowheart, make her way all the way down here to revive us. And it seems like that happened here, which is a good example for us to use. Basically, if our Tav gets downed or dies, we will need to bring another person alongside with us. So, whatever person you bring, whether it's Shadowheart, Gale, Lae'zel, you just have to make sure that they are protected from the Shadow Curse, so you'll have to have them grab a torch, unless you're Shadowheart, who has the natural passive of getting around all of that. So, during this scenario, we'll just have, I would suggest actually Gale, since Gale will be required to be at Moonrise Towers later on. And yeah, we'll just continue speeding on through this fight. Just make sure that when we do this, we still have our characters at the start of the act as of right now. So this fight will keep continuing on. They're almost all dead. You can see that there's only 2 Harpers left, and they should die pretty quickly here. So there goes one, and the other one should die in the next turn, which should be here. And now, because our Tav is down and we need to rescue them, we can go back to Gale and just have Gale path over all the way. So make sure to grab a torch if you do. And go ahead, toggle it, and just walk all the way down. And the reason why we normally don't want more of our party members to come is because they'll all need to be with us during this trek, and we kind of don't really want that. As well as we need someone to go to Last Light Inn, which we will have happen with probably Lae'zel or Shadowheart. And in this case, we only have 2 torches, so it's probably easiest with Shadowheart. But you can also just switch over a torch to another character as well, since we would no longer need it once we grab the Moonlantern. So once we get our Tav revived, or if your Tav survives, we can just go ahead and continue on from here. And we have to make sure that now Gale has to join this small group here, since he's now in this party, at least close enough to be considered in it. So now we just say it's over, let's go, and we just continue with Varnus here, all the way to Moonrise Towers with Gale as well. So we're going to just keep walking in the path, just make sure to stay close enough. And yeah, we're just walking to Moonrise Towers to progress from here. There are alternative methods as well, if you are just trying to get to Moonrise Towers. There is a cheesy method that you can do by using healing potions and to just brute force ourselves through this Shadow Curse here. But it is pretty tricky, and you have to use turn-based mode and practice a lot with it. It's a lot of dashing and using the health potions at optimal times to brute force our way all the way to Moonrise Towers like this. Otherwise, we can just have Karnus here guide us to Moonrise and just go from there. So we're almost there. Just make sure we stay close. Don't do anything funny here, because you might start an encounter with some enemies. And if that happens, that is normally pretty bad because we are very underleveled at this point. And yeah, once we reach Moonrise Towers here, we are going to go ahead and progress. Normally what'll happen here is we have Gale fast travel to Moonrise Towers from here to join us during this section as well. Yeah, we're just going to Moonrise Towers. Normally the party joins us here, but it's fine. We just go ahead and talk to these guys with option 1, and walk all the way up into Moonrise Towers here. So once we enter into Moonrise Towers, we're going to go ahead and do some Gale progression here, since this is required for if we want to do the ending in the fast way. And this is very important to get Gale to blow himself up at the end without having a persuasion check. So we're going to go ahead and long rest quite a few times here. So we're going to long rest to end the day in Moonrise Towers, and I'm going to just go ahead and partial rest for all of these. You can like do the camp supply one to refresh your spells and stuff, but you really want to save your supplies for the more important times. And yeah, we'll be doing it a lot of times here. So this is the first long rest. We have a cutscene with the Dream Guardian. Then once we leave camp, we're going to go ahead and do a second long rest. And this will be another long rest cutscene with the Durge questline. I believe we have 2 here with Celarius Fae. So we're just going to choose option 1 for all of these. This gives us like the cloak, I believe, here. The Deathstalker mantle. We go ahead and leave camp. We're going to long rest again for another Dark Urge cutscene. Pretty much the same thing. Long rest without supplies. Same person. And they're going to ask us to kill Isabel, but we're not going to worry about that. And then we're going to long rest one more time, but this time, instead of immediately going into the long rest from here, we're going to progress Gale's questline by jumping over to him. Since now he has his mirror image that appears, which is part of his romance questline, and by talking to it, we're able to go ahead and long rest with him. So just choose option 1. Long rest without supplies and stuff, and that'll give us Gale's cutscene here. So during this cutscene, there is a very important selection of dialogue that we're going to do. So we'll go ahead and choose this first option here. It's breathtaking, and this is the big dialogue line that we need to make sure that we select. So here we need to select option 3. So you speak as if this affects you alone. And this is very important because in order for Gale to blow himself up at the end, he should want to do it. And that is by having his death score increased by 1 here. And that is what this dialogue line will do. So make sure to select option 3 right here. And then right after that, we want to make sure we select option 2 right here. You sound sure in your course of action then. And once we do that, that'll basically guarantee that Gale will blow himself up at the end. And as long as we have a solid enough relationship, I believe it should be fine. I don't know how important it is, but yeah, it is very nice to at least have that. Then after selecting option 1, we are now done with all the long rests and Gale progression that we need from here.
Where do you hail from?
So now we're going to go ahead and talk to Ketheric here. This is just so we're going to be able to grab the Moonlantern, and we're going to just go ahead and walk through this absolute store here, and go ahead and start this cutscene with Minthara and Ketheric. skip through all of it here, stay silent.
True.
And I don't think there's too much importance here with your dialogue choices,
She
so you can just go ahead.
Of course.
And here, we want to make sure that we have them split themselves open. We don't want to have to do with an extra set of stuff that occurs. So I just choose option 1 here. That's like the easiest way. It's kind of buggy because it shows that these guys are alive sometimes, but they're dead. But here we're just going to walk all the way up to the top of Moonrise Towers and talk to Zrel, who's going to allow us to get the keys to Balthazar's room, which is where the Moonlantern is. So we just wait for Zrel to get in position, and we skip through all of this dialogue here. So right here we want to make sure we select option 3 so we don't have to do a DC check. Just get through all of this. Option 1, understood, and there we go. So now we have Balthazar's room key, and we can just go ahead and make our way into his room here. And you can just run on over. You can just also make sure you have enhanced sleep featherfall options too, but it is kind of awkward to navigate through with that in tight corridors. From here, we just grab the Moonlantern, and we should all be good here. So now we have protection from the Shadow Curse. Just make sure you open your inventory and make sure you have it equipped so that you don't take any Shadow Curse damage here. From there we can fast travel out to Moonrise Towers with our tab, and just make sure that Gale is safe and basically just out of the way here. We want to make sure Gale doesn't follow us as well, because we will be going through the Shadow Curse land stuff and make our way all the way over to the Shar Questline, which is up next. So now we'll have one of our characters go to Last Light Inn. So let's go back to one of our characters, either Lae'zel or Shadowheart here, and make sure they have like a torch or something, or if it's a Shadowheart, she should be fine either way. But yeah, just have one of your characters here go to Last Light Inn by clicking all the way in the distance. So I normally click in between this small formation and this like other one, and that should get you into Last Light Inn. And all I'm doing is having my camera angle zoomed all the way out at first, looking around the northwest here, and then zooming in a tiny bit to get this angle into this orb shape, and that's Last Light Inn. If you don't want to do that, you can also just manually navigate. So I will just go ahead and click here with Lae'zel. So now Lae'zel is going to automatically path all the way over there. Normally we would do this one click and then switch back to one of your other characters to just make our way to the Shar Temple while Lae'zel is pathing all the way. But if you're on controller, you probably can't do this, so I'll just have my camera pointing here so you can show where your character needs to go ahead and path. And you can see why we want to make sure that we don't do this during the fight sequence, because the fight occurs right here while like we are pathing over, so we just don't want one of our characters to path on over during that fight sequence. And we can see we're just making our way all the way through here. Lae'zel's just pathing automatically, like you can see I'm not clicking anything from here. But if you are on controller, just follow this route here with Lae'zel or Shadowheart or something. And once you do that, you can see Lae'zel is all the way pathed to Last Light in here.
This place is protected.
And we have this dialogue right here. Once that dialogue appears, that's normally when we switch back to our character. And you can see here, we get this cutscene with Jaheira and the Harpers with Lae'zel. So we skip through with option 1 for all of this dialogue sequence here. This will basically go through all of Jaheira's things. And here we're going to have Lae'zel do a couple things before we head on to the Shar Temple stuff. So we'll have Lae'zel move into Last Light Inn and grab this Potion of Invisibility. It's not required, but if you want to do some things with fewer glitches or just have an extra benefit of safety at any point, that's something you should grab. From here, we're going to have Lae'zel walk all the way to the top of the barn here. And inside of it, there is a chest. And we're going to go ahead and pick up the chest here, because this chest contains a lot of gold, which we will be using to sell some items to. From here, we'll leave Lae'zel here, and let's go back to our tab. And now I will show the route with our Durge here to the Temple of Shar. So normally this entire sequence is done while Lae'zel is pathing on over. But if you are on console, you probably don't have that opportunity. From here, we're just going to go ahead and jump in this route here. It's pretty laggy right now, but it's fine. Just follow this route here, jumping on over to this area right here. And this is where the road to Baldur's Gate waypoint is. So we just walk up to it to discover it for later on, since we will be fast traveling back here to go to Act 3. From here, we're going to go ahead and jump on back to the Shar Temple now. So we'll follow this path here. And you just have to be very careful with where you're pathing to, because there are enemies that are scattered about. So just make sure you are not in these areas with a bunch of enemies as we are doing that. So once again, if you run out of Enhanced Sleep or Featherfall, just recast it and keep making your way over. And we're going to just keep jumping on to this area right here. We are pretty close. We're right next to the House of Healing to our right. And here there is a cutscene with Raphael that occurs here, but you can skip it by sneaking and jumping way past him, and as long as we don't unsneak, we don't trigger that cutscene. And we can just walk into the entrance, and we are now in the mausoleum right before the Temple of Shar. We can go ahead and continue making our way through. Just a couple more jumps and this small puzzle here. And we're going to go to the west side here and press the Moonrise Towers button. Then we're going to jump on over to the east side and press the Grief button. And then we're going to go ahead and jump all the way to the north and press the General button. And that opens this door to the Temple of Shar, which we'll go into by hitting this gem. And that starts the cutscene, and we enter the temple. So now that we're in the Temple of Shar, we're going to go ahead and make our way to the first puzzle of the area, which is basically a very easy invisible maze that we can just walk through. Technically, what you can do is just keep repeatedly jumping to this umbral gem and it'll work. Otherwise, if you want to do it a non-glitchy way, head over to the east side, walk directly through this path here into the outer ring here, and we're going to do a quarter circle in this direction to the gem. And yeah, you just have to make sure that you path correctly there. I was a bit too close to it. And yeah, just as long as you follow that path here, you should be good to press the button to open the rest of the doors here. From there, we can just go ahead and make our way to this area first. And right before then, we're going to go ahead and level up our tab here. And this is a very important level up because we're going to need knock for 2 of the doors in this section here. So make sure you get knock and the subtle spell meta magic, since we'll be using that for later on. Once we do that, just skip the level ups for the rest of your characters here. And we're going to go ahead and do this section right here. And there's quite a few different methods that we can do to get around this cutscene that occurs here. And I will show off the 2 of them. And basically, you're going to use either Minor Illusion, which can break the cutscene indefinitely, or you can use Lae'zel's Invisibility potion that you grabbed from Last Light Inn. So I will show the Minor Illusion route here. Basically, just as long as you have Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall, you can just cast Minor Illusion anywhere in this top area. And you can just go ahead and jump past all of these enemies here, since they're too distracted by the cat and the cutscene breaks indefinitely. And that's probably the route I would highly recommend, because it works on console as well. So there's really no point in doing it the other way unless you want to be entirely glitchless. So from here, we just discovered this waypoint right here with the Gauntlet of Shar. And we're going to keep making our way to the west here and jump all the way up to the door here, because inside this vault door that's locked, we're going to go ahead and knock. And this is going to have quite a few chests here, and we're going to go ahead and pick them up because we're going to sell them for gold. But we're going to pick up these first 2 on the left and the middle. So we're going to pick up this one and this one. And then the one on the right contains a very important item. This is the Callous Glow Ring. And this is used for the Ketheric Fight to make our bombs deal additional damage with its properties. So we're going to right click it and equip it on our tab. And that's very important, so we're able to deal all the additional damage with what we'll have in the fight. From there, we just travel back to the Gauntlet of Shar, and we're going to make our way back the way we came from. This time, we're going to head to the east side and jump back to the stairs right on this side here. So just go ahead, jump all the way down here, jump to around this edge of the chasm here. And as long as you move your camera with the toggle tactical camera and move your camera angle a little bit, you should be able to see the bottom area right here. And make sure you have Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall active. And you can simply just jump all the way down there and skip having to grab all of these extra orbs. From there, we have our second cast and knock, which we can use on this door. And we can just go ahead and discover this last waypoint here, which is the Verge of Shadows waypoint. And that is all we need for the Temple of Shar stuff here. Alternatively, if you don't want to do that route with Minor Illusion because you think that's a glitch, the other option is using Lae'zel's Invisibility potion that she grabbed at Last Light Inn. And we can just go ahead and do the same thing. So basically Enhance Sleep and Featherfall, and then instead of casting Minor Illusion, we can drink the Invisibility potion here. But instead of going directly over to get the chests first, we can do things in the other right way so that we keep our invisibility when we go back through this direction here. So I can show that off here. We go ahead, drink the invisibility potion, so we skip past these guys. We jump to this waypoint right here, so we can travel back to it later on. And we can just go back and jump in this direction to get all the way to this stairs here, and do exactly the same thing from here. So we can just jump all the way down to the bottom, up to this door, cast knock,
Moving in.
and then we can just get this waypoint here earlier on, and we had the invisibility on the entire time and don't have to go past through the cutscene again. And then from there we can just travel to the Gauntlet of Shar, walk up to the west side, and grab the same chests here. So here once again, we can just make our way to the west, jump on over to this door, and grab the same two chests on the left and the middle when we knock through the door. So we just pick it up. One here, and then open this chest and equip the Callous Glow Ring. And that is the other option that we have here. So if you are on controller instead, you might have an issue with getting that big jump down to the bottom. And instead of doing that big jump, what you can do is basically the workaround by just grabbing one of the orbs from one of the puzzles. And there's quite a few different ways to do that. So I can just show the route I would do. So right here, we can just go ahead and jump down through to this area to get the waypoint. And we can just do one of these puzzles here. Remember to grab the chests in the west side, which we can do on our way back. But instead, we can just jump all the way down to this area and do probably the easiest puzzle, which is this one, the Faith Leap Trial. And it might be a bit confusing for some people because this is one of the weirder puzzles, but if you know the map layout of this area, it is very easy to do. So we can just go ahead and use the altar here and then just spill some of our blood. And we can just walk down here to do this section. So right here, as long as you don't have Enhanced Sleep active, which is super important, because if you have it active, you're not, like, whenever you jump in this puzzle, you will get teleported to a random area and take damage. So just make sure you don't have Enhanced Sleep active for this part. And you can manually path through the maze, but what I would just do is the easier method of just jumping at certain locations. So for instance, like I would jump to around the middle area right here, jump to this second platform here, and that basically skips part of the maze here. And because we have such a high amount of jump distance from our strength, we can just jump from this platform to this one pretty standard here. And that skips having to do an extra jump. Then from here, we just jump to the center of this gap here. So something like this. And then jump all the way to the end of the platform here. And with that, we can just pick up the Umbral Gem. And that gives us one of the gems that we need for this area here. And then use the transporter to get back out of this first trial. And as long as we just walk out of this door here, we can just fast travel back to the Gauntlet of Shar waypoint. And then go ahead and do everything the same way that we did before. So you would go to the west to grab the chests, but instead, like right after we do that, pretend that I did that in this run, you can just go ahead and jump to this area right here, go down to the altar here and use it by inserting the gem inside. That gives us the relic and some extra XP, which can be nice. And it gives us this small cutscene with Shadowheart. But we can just go ahead and skip that. Can just go ahead and use one of the traversal gems right here. That'll take us down. And we can just go ahead and use knock on the final big door here without having to do all 3 of the other gem puzzles, which can be pretty difficult and time consuming. So once again, just go ahead and jump our way over, use knock on this door, and make our way to the Verge of Shadows waypoint here. So once you reach the Verge of Shadows waypoint, we're going to go ahead and do a big shopping sequence here. So you will travel to Last Light Inn with your Tav, and we're going to go ahead and do quite a bit of shopping with Shopkeeper Tali here, or Quartermaster Tali. And we're going to go ahead and talk to her, and go ahead and see her wares. And right here, we're going to be buying all the smoke powder bombs from her shop. But first, the biggest thing to note is this first set of bombs is bugged in the game. So basically, the first set of bombs is called a misfire, because what'll happen is when you throw this specific set of bombs, which are the first ones you buy from a shopkeeper, they will blow up if you try to throw multiple of them at the same time. So what we're going to do is buy the bombs, and we have to move them to someone else's inventory so they don't stack on top of the other bombs. So let's say we just give them to Lae'zel here. And we're going to go ahead and sell all the non-important items here. So all these gems, all these unnecessary other things. And yeah, all the chests too that we picked up. Including this rustic chest we can sell as well. But I would, yeah, basically just make sure to sell whatever items and stuff. Just so you have a lot of gold to work with. From here, we're going to go ahead and notice that Tali no longer has bombs. We just bought all of them, which is 2. And what we're going to do is level up the rest of our characters one by one. So we just do something like this, where we level up Gale. And it doesn't matter what spells or other things that we select. We just level them up once, and every level up for each character will reset the vendor's inventory because they need to refresh their shop for your new stats and everything. So that'll basically just give you another set of bombs that you can buy, and it's a range of 0 to 4 bombs, so yeah, you can just go ahead, buy them, and put them in your Tav's inventory. And make sure you do keep the silver pendant and guidance and the potions of speed here, since those are important. And yeah, just keep doing this at every section here. So once again, just choose whatever spells and stuff, level up your character, and skip the level ups for the other ones after doing one of them, and buy the next set of bombs. And what we're looking for here is getting at least 16 bombs for the Ketheric Fight, since that is the magic number that is needed to defeat both Ketheric and Merkel here. So once again, level up, buy the bombs, and repeat. And all of these level ups do not matter for our choices and stuff, so you can just feel free to select whatever things that we want. So here, once again, same thing, buy the bomb. And you'll notice that we are running short of the amount of level ups that we have, since each character only can go up to level 3 at this point. And you'll notice that that is normally not enough to get all 16 bombs that we want. But lucky for us, we do need to respec one of our characters to be able to do what we want for the next section here. So notice that we have 12 bombs here, and we're going to go ahead and go to camp here. And when we respec our characters, it resets their level to level 1, so we can basically keep resetting the shops again. And what we're going to do is have Gale be our sorcerer for this next sequence here. So we'll have Gale go to camp, and just have Gale go ahead and talk to Withers here to respec him into a sorcerer. So he just walks on over, and we're going to go ahead and choose what kind of services can a skeleton offer. And you mentioned a cost, and normally from there we would, can you help us change our class? And yeah, just choose sorcerer, and we're going to do the exact same build that we have for our Tav basically. So cantrips don't matter, I just like having those cantrips personally. And choose enhanced sleep and featherfall. This is important. Storm sorcery. And we're going to go ahead and do all strength, dexterity with 17, 16, and charisma at 15. From there, we don't do a level up here. And just to be safe, we also do our level up with our Tav here. This normally might not be necessary if you get lucky with your bomb counts, but just respecing your Tav here lets you do more shops for the bombs. And since we are respecing to the exact same stats that we want, although you can at this point move your intelligence to charisma if you want, since intelligence was just used for the very start, and maxing your charisma just gives you better prices for the shopping stuff, which helps a tiny bit, but normally is not significant. From there, we can just go back to camp and keep doing our shopping here until we get 16 bombs. So we'll go ahead and have Tali buy some bombs, and when we do reset our character's stats, we can just go ahead and do the exact same thing. But we do need to respec our Tav though, I forgot to mention this, because we also need to change one of his spells. So after leveling up our Tav, all these level ups are super important. So the first level up was Fog Cloud and Twin Spelled and Extended Spell. So make sure you do the exact same thing for that. But instead of leveling up for Knock here, we are going to go for Invisibility. And then here we choose the Subtle Spell Meta Magic. And here we're going to change out Fog Cloud for Misty Step. And those are very important things for this level up. So make sure for level 3, you switch out Fog Cloud for Misty Step, and you grab Invisibility instead of Knock, and you have Subtle Spell, Extended Spell, and Twin Spell as your extra sorcerer shenanigans. From there, we're going to go ahead and do exactly the same thing with Gale as well. And we can see we now have 16 total bombs here for our Tav that are not including the first 2 that we bought. So from there, we are all good. And here we can just keep buying the bombs if you want to be safe, but 16 guarantees the kill on Merkel, so you don't have to worry about it from there. And here, once again, you can just level up Gale for all the same exact things that we had for our Tav. So, Invisibility and Misty Step. And yeah, that is all our level ups and all of our bomb collection that we need for our run here. So once you grab all your bombs, we're going to go ahead and get all of our characters to Last Light Inn. So Lae'zel's normally already here. Gale, you could have grouped up with him when you leave camp, so he also comes with you to Last Light Inn. And we also want Shadowheart to come to Last Light Inn as well. And when Lae'zel does group up with you, you're going to have a dialogue line that happens here with Lae'zel wanting to go to the creche. But the thing is, Lae'zel isn't needed for all of the rest of this, but if you want to be safe to just have an extra companion, you can just select option 2 to get her to stay in our party, and I would just do that. Otherwise, all the other options will have a persuasion check, or Lae'zel will leave your party, so you kind of just need to make sure you are careful for that if you really want Lae'zel, but she is not completely necessary at all for this route. From there, we're going to go ahead and make sure we talk to all of our companions here and get them to wait in camp. So all of them should go to camp. That includes Gale as well, and Shadowheart. So once they're all dismissed into camp with all these options, we're going to go ahead and go to the Verge of Shadows here. And this will get us to the Balthazar sequence. So here we're going to use the Shadowfell entrance and go ahead and make our way down. And here at this point, Shadowheart will leave our party at the end of this sequence. From here, Balthazar appears, and we're going to have him lead on then. And basically, we're going to make our way down to the Nightsong and Balthazar, who are having their conversation. And we're going to go ahead and let Balthazar take the Nightsong, since what we're going to have happen is we're just going to free the Nightsong during the Ketheric Fight to make him no longer invincible. And that also skips having to do a lot of extra combat in this section where Balthazar is extremely difficult to fight with all his enemies, and we don't have nearly enough levels to do so. So once again, we just jump on over to him, start his dialogue here, and we have to make sure that we select the correct options here. So option 2, what are you going to do to her? And option 2 again, to go on, take the Nightsong to Ketheric. And that'll open the portal out, and Shadowheart will leave our party right here. So no matter what dialogue choice you make, Shadowheart will leave, and that is the end for Shadowheart. From there, we're going to go ahead and travel to Moonrise Towers and get ready for this Ketheric sequence here. So once we arrive at Moonrise Towers, we're going to make our way to the rooftop, and there's 2 different methods that we can do to get there. The easier one that I will show first here is simply by just going around the outside. So just with Enhanced Sleep active, we can just go around to the left side here towards the east. And with our tactical camera, we can just jump all the way to the top here. And once we get to this ledge up top here with these set of 3 jumps, we can cast any spell, probably Featherfall is most preferable, and we get the turn of flight here that we can use since we are a Storm Sorcerer to fly all the way to the top of the rooftop. From there we can just go ahead and jump to the center here, and that triggers the Ketheric cutscene. From there we can just say we're devoted to the Absolute, we brought in the Nightsong, and we get the reward of the Tadpole. And just close your mind out to keep the parasite out, and that is everything that we need to do to get to the rooftop here. Alternatively, if you don't like that route, you can go ahead and just follow this route. We can just go around in the inside area by jumping on over to Moonrise Towers and going through the standard casual route here. And this is going to have us talk to Z'rell to be able to bypass our way past the door here. So we can just go ahead and jump our way through to the second floor here. Just go ahead around the inside. This is a little bit longer of a route, but some people find the flying stuff outside to be kind of weird and finicky. But yeah, we can just talk to Z'rell here, whatever it takes. And she tells us to kill everyone at Last Light Inn, and we can just say, sure, we'll do what she asks, and just close our mind out to the tadpole. And instead of, like, you can notice that going through the door is not allowed, but if we talk to Z'rell again, we can say, I'm done with following your orders, and say, I'll take that chance. And we can just go ahead and go through the door from there, because we just argued with her, and she lets us go to the top anyways. And from there we can just walk up to Ketheric, who talks to us once we get here, say we're devoted, and we can just go ahead and walk up to the top here as well, the same way. So once we reach the top of Moonrise Towers, we're going to get ready for the Balthazar sequence that happens when we use the altar right here. And what we're going to do is get ready for it by going back to our campsite and grabbing Gale with us. Since Gale is Respec as a sorcerer, and he'll be helping us with the Ketheric Fight, we're going to go ahead and have him join back our party, and he should have all the same spells and abilities as our Tav here. So both characters need to make sure that we have Invisibility and Misty Step. If you fail to do that with either one of your characters, you can just double check to make sure that both characters have it. If you don't have it, you can talk to Withers to respec again here. If you don't have the gold to do so, you can pickpocket Withers, who should have the gold from the past when you respect earlier. So that is if you made any sort of mistake in this run. So make sure you have that as a backup option here. From here, we're going to make sure that our party is grouped up together. So both our Tav and Gale are grouped together. They're not separate like this, they're grouped together. Because what we're going to be doing is doing a group sneak for this section by holding shift and pressing the sneak button. There should be an equivalent on controller as well. From here, we're going to cast Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall on both our characters. This is not completely necessary, but I just like having it. And then immediately we're going to use Twin Spell of Invisibility on both Gale and ourselves as we press the altar. So make sure we use Twin Spell of Invisibility on both Gale and our Tav here. And then use the altar to go down to Balthazar. And here we get the cutscene with Ketheric and Balthazar here. And immediately after this cutscene occurs, we're going to do the group seek right here. And then turn on turn-based mode. So you'll notice that both our characters are hiding, and we are in turn-based mode. And this is after we use turn-based mode after we hide, and that gives us our turn actions. If you don't do it before, I believe you should be fine to press end turn, and the cycle will continue and you get your turns refreshed. So you don't need to worry about that if you do it the wrong way at any point. From here, we're going to go ahead and notice that our characters are silenced, but we can cast Subtle Spell with a Misty Step to get out of these pods here. And something important to note is where your characters are located. So you'll notice that what we're going to be doing is trying to Misty Step into an area where none of these enemies can see us. And you'll notice that Gale is very far away from the direction where we want to go, which is north. There should always be a spot where both our characters should be able to go to. In this case, this area right here should be fine for both of us to reach. So when we're hiding, we should be able to Misty Step into this area which is hidden without being seen. And that makes it so we're now like able to be seen, but since we are out of like sight, we should be fine to just do all of that. And we do the same with Gale, Subtle Stall and Misty Step right next to our Tav here. And you'll notice that we are now both outside of the pods and outside of the vision of everyone here. Once we do that, you'll notice that we only have one spell slot left for both of our characters, so it's either Gale or your Tav from before. So whoever didn't cast the twin cast of Invisibility earlier will now be the one responsible for casting twin spell of Invisibility now. So here it'll be Gale casting twin spell of Invisibility on Tav and himself. And once we do that, we are able to leave turn-based mode and walk out of this area just fine. And we can unsneak as we do that and just head to the north side. So this sequence is very important because it's super easy to mess up. So make sure if you are doing this section, you can have a save at the top of the tower if you want to save scum, just in case. And once you do that, just walk all the way to the north outside of this door and you should be fine from there to not worry about this section any longer, because that is a very difficult section if you don't do it correctly. So yeah. From here, we are going to do one small thing before we go to the Ketheric Fight. So we'll have someone like Gale move our way to this platform right here, while our Tav, who's going to be going in a separate direction, is going to head to the north on this door right here. And this is where you can use this pod right here. And this pod will purge the pods and give you a bunch of experience that you can use to level up here. So as long as you did everything previously correctly, when you purge the pods here, you should get a level up, and that'll be your next level up for level 4 for basically the rest of the game. I don't think you need any other required level ups. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and jump our way on over to Gale. And we can refresh our spell slots here by using this restoration pod, which is pretty important. So yeah, just make sure we have all our spell slots here for both of our characters, and make our way down with the neural apparatus here. While it's going down, we can go ahead and level up our characters. And this is a very important level up because we're going to go ahead and get whatever cantrip. But we're going to use Enlarge and Reduce here for some bonus stats for throwing in Act 3. And we're going to select the most important thing, which is the Alert feat here to give ourselves a +5 bonus to initiative here. And that lets us go first all the time during the Ketheric Fight. Same thing with Gale, we do the exact same thing. Enlarge and the Alert feat, and the cantrip doesn't matter. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and make our way to the Ketheric cutscene and get ready for the big Ketheric Fight here. So once we do that, we enter and we get Gale's option here to blow up. It is very important to note that blowing up right here at the end of Act 2 does not count for the achievement. So we say you cannot do this right here. And then say, trust me, Gale, we will find another way. And that is very important because if we end the game on here, we don't get the achievement. And it doesn't count as beating the game. Or at least the correct way for the achievement. And that lets us do it in Act 3 later on. So once we reach this point here, we're going to get ready for the Ketheric Fight by prepping our spells similar to how we did the Balthazar sequence earlier, but this time it's a lot less time constraint here. So we're going to go ahead and cast Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall on our Tav, who's going to start sneaking so we can make sure that we don't get seen at this top platform here. Make sure you jump at this very corner because you can see Ketheric's looking in this direction and just barely doesn't reach this area because it's at this very point here.
Quite ready for you.
Then with Gale, we're going to go ahead, cast Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall, and we're going to also cast Invisibility here on Gale. You can also use the Invisibility potion if you have it here, but you can just cast Invisibility. From here, you're going to make Gale have his way all the way over to the Nightsong. So jump on over and free the Nightsong with Gale. This will start the Ketheric Fight and get our Tav in a conversation. And we're going to just do option 1 for both of these, and that'll start the Ketheric Fight.
Another fight.
With our Tav here, we're going to do the 2 throws of our bombs here to kill Ketheric. And because we have the Callous Glow Ring equipped, these bombs are going to go significantly more damage than before. So here we're going to do a split of our bombs to 8 and 8. So just split them in half. And we're going to drop the bombs to the ground like so. So just drag and drop the bombs onto the floor here. I believe you can do the same thing on controller. If not, let me know. I believe there is an alternative route that you can do here, but I don't have at the top of my head. So just leave a comment down below, I guess, if this doesn't work for you on controller, and I'll try to find the workaround for this. But yeah, this is probably the easiest method that you can do, and the fastest. So when we drop the set of 8 bombs on the ground, we're going to go ahead and throw the bombs from here onto Ketheric right here. So just throw the bombs onto Ketheric, and not directly on top of him, but on the ground next to him. And this is important because we are throwing from a high point, which gives us advantage and doubles our bomb's damage, as well as the Callous Glow Ring, which also doubles our bomb's damage because of all the damage factors that get factored in. And there is like an entire page dedicated to the damage mechanics that show that this is pretty much entirely intended for at least how damage works in the game. Even though it might seem weird, it is an intended mechanic in the game. So yeah, very awkward. I think what is like weird about it is the fact that you can throw 8 bombs at once. But otherwise, this is 100% the same like way you should be doing it, and shouldn't really affect anything just because of how the damage works. So once we throw the bombs on the ground next to Ketheric with all the stuff equipped and everything, Ketheric will go down in one shot. So now Merkel appears after skipping through this cutscene here. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. So we drop the 8 bombs onto the ground in one stack like so. And we're going to go ahead and use the speed potion that we collected in Act 1. So we just drink it with our Tav here and do the same thing. We throw the bombs not on top of Merkel, but on the ground nearby him. And that'll do just enough damage with both cycles to one-shot both of them here. Once we do that, we defeated Ketheric and Merkel, skip through the rest of this cutscene here, and we're going to go ahead with our tab to grab Ketheric, and this will give us the stones and all his armor and stuff, which we are going to sell later on. Once again, we just skip through all this dialogue with choice 1, take all the items from Ketheric, group back our party so Gale follows us out as we use the portal to the surface here. And before we exit Act 2, we are going to go ahead and do a couple remedial items here. We're going to go ahead and talk to Jaheira. And Jaheira is going to go ahead and join our party when we choose option 1 for all of these choices. And we're going to have her join us immediately. And that'll have her in our party with us. From here, we're going to go ahead and jump to the doorway here. This will get Isabel and the Nightsong to have their dialogue here, and we don't want them to join our party because it'll have an extra camp cutscene. So we're going to go ahead and choose option 3. It's a little crowded already, and then we'll say, I doubt that, you'll go your way and I'll go mine. And that'll have them just not have our camp cutscene here. From here, we can just go ahead and fast travel out to the road to Baldur's Gate waypoint. It'll have this cutscene that'll happen. Skip through this dialogue with option 1 and do the same thing. And we can just go ahead and jump to the end here. You'll notice that Gale has an exclamation mark on his head. If you do talk to him, you can just go ahead and go through his dialogue. He'll basically talk about grabbing the crown and stuff, but it doesn't really matter in the long run here, so you can just do that to get rid of his dialogue choice. But yeah, that's basically it. We just jump on to the road to Baldur's Gate here, out of this cutscene here, and just use that entrance. And that'll basically end our Act 2 here and head into the Githyanki fight, which I will cover in the next video as well. So that is it for part 2 of the Baldur's Gate 3 Honor Mode Glitchless Achievement Tutorial series. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you like this video and want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments about this route or want to know more, leave a comment down below and I'll try to answer it. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your runs.